Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real Tales podcast. Today, the person that I have on is a true problem solver in her community, somebody that does a lot of cool strategies in her business that I honestly cannot wait to share with you guys. It is Nita Patel. Nita, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. Welcome to the podcast. It's great to
Thank
have you
you.
on.
I know we've been trying to do this for what, like about 2 months now?
Yeah, you've been traveling all over the world doing cool things, and that's so I
Yeah,
get it. You were in India when
I
I
was in
texted you, right?
India. Yeah, I was in India for about like 7 weeks.
Okay, how
So
was that?
it was great. It was awesome. We actually went for, my sister-in-law's wedding, right?
Hmm.
And then after the wedding, I'm like, you know what? I want to go to like all these, like ashrams in India, like they're like most of them are in like, South India. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just do it? I've been wanting to do this like the last 8 years, and I'm here, might as well do it, So my husband was like, yeah, go ahead, So I stayed. I was supposed to stay 1 week, and then I
Hmm.
extended it, to another week. So I was there 2 weeks just traveling, to the different ashrams. Like one was in South India, Sadhguru's Isha Foundation. I don't know if you've heard of it. And then another was in Rishikesh, which was like 5 hours from where we live. So it was an amazing experience.
Awesome. Are those like temples, or like, can you explain what that is?
So they're like spiritual centers where you can go. Like there's like people from all over the world go there, right? Like you'll see people from like Europe, and you'll see people from like USA, and like to learn yoga, meditation. There's some like that do like energy healing. And then they have different programs if you want to do them, but you don't necessarily have to. You can just go and like just attend their regular sessions that they have throughout the day. But yeah, it was an amazing experience, especially, Sadhguru's ashram.
Hmm.
It was, I didn't, it was actually a lot more than what I expected, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I see Sadhguru stuff online, and he looks like he is a very wise person. So if he has a
Yeah.
whole temple just dedicated to, his teachings and his beliefs, I mean, that sounds like a very deep journey. So I'm glad. I'm sure you had a really cool time there. And I was looking at your stories. I saw like these places that you were going to, and they just looked like just beautiful, just physically beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like I said, especially Sadhguru's, it was beautiful. If you ever get a chance, like go and visit. That's actually where Sadhguru lives, like in that center. Like they don't tell you where he lives, obviously, right?
Right.
But he lives like in that center in the area. Like he
Awesome.
wasn't there when I went. I think he was in USA. He's always speaking, you know,
Yeah.
at different events and all that. So he wasn't there. And then he was, sick, right, for a while. So probably
Cool.
trying to catch up and all that.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah, amazing journey. Amazing, amazing
If
journey.
if
Yeah.
I ever get the opportunity to go to India, that's definitely going to be on my list for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And then there's centers here too, that you can go to. Like Sedona, Arizona has like really nice spiritual centers.
No, really.
So you don't necessarily have to just go to India. There's centers like if you look them up, if you do your research, there's centers in USA as well.
Well, heck yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
so what I want to know is that so before you doing real estate, you were based in Chicago, Illinois, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before you were doing real estate in Chicago, what were you doing, and how did you end up finding real estate and getting your start in real estate?
So before I started real estate, I was in the banking industry, retail banking industry. So, I started out as a teller, like when I was in my early 20s, and then moved up to like a manager, right? So, like my last position was of a relationship manager, right, at a retail bank. And then after that, I was going through a divorce, which is like about 8 years ago, right? So I had like left that job of a relationship manager like cold turkey. I didn't even put thought into I couldn't. Like I was just, like shut down. I was depressed. I was just going through a lot. And then like after 2 weeks, my credit cards and everything was shut down by my ex-husband, right? I was like, man, I don't have any money. What am I going to do? So then I started like just a regular job, whatever I could find. It was like an accounting job, just a basic like accounts payables and accounts receivables job. And like I was miserable there. It was like a second shift job. And like I think like I had this like like entrepreneurial dream in me, like ever since, like I was young, right? So like being in that job every day I was miserable, and there was someone that that I worked with was from India, right? And every day he kept saying like, you're so lucky you're in USA, like it's the land of opportunity and all that, and I'm like, what have I done? Like I haven't done anything, and look at this guy, like he wants to come to USA, and like I've been in USA ever since I was 7 years old. Like what have I done with my life? Like I haven't done anything, And then I talked to my husband and I told him, I'm like, I don't. So I got married again, right? And I talked to my husband and I said, I don't want to be, at this job. I don't want to do this, And he said, that's fine. Go ahead. You can leave your job. And I was pregnant, with our first son. So he said, go ahead, leave your job. Right. And I left, but I'm not the kind of person who can just, sit at home and not do anything. Right. Like, of course, raising kids is more than a job, more than anything. Right. But I also like to be doing other things. There's nothing wrong with being a housewife or anything, but I wanted more, and that's when I started like looking up like real estate seminars and all of that here. This was about 7.5 years ago. And I found Andrew Holmes' seminar here in Chicago, Illinois. And I attended his, actually I attended a few more, before his, but I resonated more with him for whatever reason, so we signed up for his mentorship that he had. So like his mentorship helped us a lot, like to start out, and like he planted a seed in me, like with the real estate investing for sure.
And what was he teaching as far as real estate investing?
So he teaches like a lot of like the Burr method, and then they also buy a lot, from the auctions, right? But when we had started, we had no money. Like even his mentorship, we put it on a credit card, right? And so we did, our first deal was, from the MLS, right? So like it was an 8-week course, and towards the end, I think it was the 7th week in his course, we acquired a property, through the MLS, right? And it was a good deal, but we had about $5,000 stuck, right, in the deal because, and I think it was our own mistake, because we took longer to find a tenant and all that. And when there's no, like after you're done with the renovations, if there's no tenant, you're still paying the mortgage, right? And we only had about $5,000, right? So like most of that went into that, right? The vacancy and all of that, right? Keeping up with the house. And then after that, I was scared. I was like, man, like you need a little money at least, unless if it's a really good deal. But I was scared to buy from the MLS because I was like, okay, I did this first one, right? And we had $5,000 stuck in it, right? And I think I just didn't have the confidence to talk to agents and negotiate with them and all that, right? So that's where my journey of like looking for, like off market deals started. So then I came across Brand Daniels, right? PTP, right? And I just like watched his videos all the time. Like I didn't even join, any of his like mentorships or anything, right? Because we didn't have the money. I wanted to do a few deals before we, join his mentorship or join any other mentorships, right? I just watched his videos and I just started cold calling, door knock, whatever I needed to do, because we had this debt, like for the mentorship, we put it on a credit card, right? And I think we started a second project as well, and we didn't have money, right? Enough money for the renovation. So even that, we were putting it on a credit card. And I was like, I'm not buying anything from the MLS anymore, and I just gotta, like get some deals and pay off this debt, right? Obviously it took longer to pay off the debt. And honestly, I struggled with mindset, the first 3 years. A lot of it was mindset. I could have found good deals, right? Like with the agents, but I just didn't have the confidence, to talk to them. And I didn't know how to negotiate.
What were some of like the negative or limiting beliefs that you had in your head at that time that were causing you to not, have that positive mindset?
I think the biggest fear that I had, right, in the beginning was because we didn't have any money. Like when I got divorced, I left with nothing. Actually, no, I think there was a little that I had, right? But we used it when I got married again, right? We used it, for some things to buy in the house and all that. And then, like we just didn't have that much money. So I think the biggest one was that, like not having the money and being scared that, hey, what if I do have money stuck in a deal? Then what? Like what's gonna happen? So that was my biggest fear. Another fear was I just didn't have the courage and the confidence to go to Andrew or Rahul, the first mentors, right? Like I didn't, and tell them that, hey, look, this is the situation. Like we have no money. I'm scared, like that I'm going to have some money stuck in deals, right? Like I think it was a lot of it was confidence too. And then after that, it was more like, oh, what if I go all in and I fail? Or what if I go all in and I'm successful? Then what? Are people around me going to like me? Are my friends, family going to like me? I think it's the same fears that we all have, right? And I think it was also like I never made more than $90,000 at a job, and I think it was like the money blocks that I had, like after I did a few deals, like I had to start working on, the money blocks, right? Because that held me from doing more because I just got comfortable, right? Oh, I'm doing, this much, I'm making this much. Who am I? Who am I to make more money? So like I had to work on those blocks. So it was different at every step, I would say. But a lot of it was just like just what if I go all in and I fail? What about all that hard work that I put in? And I did like it was I don't know what it was exactly. It was like a wholesaling event online, right? And Mike, I don't do you know who Michael Burnoff is?
I
He's in
don't.
Arizona as well.
I don't.
So he was one of the speakers, right? And he talked about communication. He talked about like how to overcome, your fears and doubts and all that, right? I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm struggling with. That's exactly what I needed, at that time, right? So I signed up for his 3-day event that he had in Phoenix, Arizona, right? So I went to his event, and after that event, like I had no fears. I was like, you know what? I don't care about anyone. I don't care about, what anyone's gonna say, what anyone's gonna, not say, like I just didn't care. I went all in after that. And that was about 4 years ago.
I can just tell just by the way that you've articulated the negative beliefs that you had at that time and how you were able to overcome them, that you've dealt a lot with your own personal mindset and just dealing with the topic of mindset. That was
Yeah.
one of the big questions that I wanted to ask you, because I see you a lot just talking about like meditation and yoga and all these things in relation to mindset. I want to ask, where did you get the realization of how important a positive mindset was?
I started studying successful people, like I knew nothing about yoga and meditation, even though like all this was originated in India, but people around me didn't do it, like nor did my family or friends, right? And when I started studying successful people, they all talked about it. They all said, you should have some sort of practice, right? Like whether it's working out, meditation, yoga, or whatever, and like I just started searching for like meditation centers. At that time, we lived in a town called Arlington Heights, Illinois, here in Illinois, right? And I found one which was like 10 minutes away. This was about 7.5 years ago, right? So I went, I did a few classes and I just fell in love with it. Like it was obviously like, slow progress, right? Because I've never done it before, right? So when I first started, I didn't understand meditation, I didn't understand yoga or anything, but I saw differences in me after 6 months, right? Not only did it give me the confidence, but it gave me like the creativity, it kept me grounded, for whatever was happening around me. It also helped me, make better decisions, not only in my personal life, but also in business. And it helped me heal, from my childhood traumas and from my last marriage, right? My divorce and all that, because I had to heal, which was a long process, right? In order to heal, it takes a long time. right? Like I know, you're younger than me, right? But when you're older and when you've been in, like relationships, right? Like you have more baggage, right? I had a lot of baggage, right? So it took me long, I would say 5 years to heal.
Got it. Excuse me. Got it. And so, just quick question. This is a personal question, really, because I want to understand the difference and I guess the use for both of them. So, meditation, I've kind of gone in a rhythm of starting to, I guess, be more mindful. I never really like get in like a full meditative state and like sit down and have those, that time to just meditate. But I am more mindful, I guess, of my thoughts and like how to really observe my thoughts. So I understand that side of things. But as far as the yoga, I've always been curious, what is the benefits of doing yoga?
So yoga, just like, working out, it changes like the chemicals in your body, right? And every pose is for like opening up your organs and your internal healing, right? Like some poses, are for, like building confidence, like do you know what chakras are?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the throat chakra, right? Like if you work on the throat chakra and if you do like the throat exercises where you move your head, like up and down and like around, like that helps like open up, like the throat chakra, right? Where like you can communicate better, you can be vulnerable, right? So it's profound. Like if you, like I said, if you get a chance, like either try out the yoga classes or go to a center where they, have like yoga sessions, and they, not only have the yoga sessions, but they also explain the principles to you, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of it is for, like finding your true self, building the confidence, the courage, right? But like you said, you didn't know, and I know a lot of people don't know, and I want to, bring some awareness out there that, hey, look, this really helps. And honestly, like I give most of the credit to the yoga and meditation for wherever I am in my journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know meditation is has been a huge help for me. Like I said, I've just been just feeling more like I am observing my thoughts and able to get an outside view on my thoughts has really helped me a lot. And I can imagine what the combination between that and yoga can do to somebody's mindset. Let me ask, in regards to real estate, and I love this. We're talking about mindset, we're talking about yoga and real estate. I've never done a podcast like this, but I'm loving this right now. What so I you talked about some of the struggles you had, right, when you find deals on the MLS, and you had money tied into projects, and there was this limiting belief of not finding deals out there, or there not being deals out there. What else were you struggling with at that time, and how did you overcome it?
Like I said, I think a lot of it was just, like being afraid, of like getting into a project and then not having the money, in case like if we have money stuck, in a deal, or like we have to take money to closing, right? So that was one. Another was didn't have the confidence, to talk to everyone, to talk to the attorneys, to even open up, to your mentors, and even like people in the communities, right? Like I had a little confidence. I wouldn't say I didn't have confidence at all, right? If I didn't have confidence at all, I wouldn't have started, right? So there was a little confidence, but not as much as I needed, right? But that's also, a journey, right? There's different layers to the mindset as well, right? there's
Right.
there's so many layers to it, and it's a lifelong journey. Self discovery is a lifelong journey. So I would say, yeah, it was not one was not having the money, second was, the confidence, third was, it can also be like fear of, like getting into a project and not being able to do it, right? I remember like a few years ago when we bought a house, with the basement, like I was scared. I don't think my husband was, as scared as me, but I was like, what if like this thing like falls down or something happens, like, so it was that as well, like getting into a renovation and something happens, something major happens and you get stuck. So it was just a lot of it was just, in my mind, right? Like just having fears of things that haven't even happened yet, you
Right.
know? And that's where I think a lot of us get stuck. Like it's all that is in our minds, right? That all these thoughts we're creating. Like it
Right.
hasn't even happened, right? That's what
It,
Sadhguru says. Why do you think too much about it, when it hasn't even happened? You're just creating it in your mind,
yeah.
right? That's why when someone asks me like what your 2-year goal is, like I don't have a 2-year goal, because you don't know what's going to happen, in a
Yeah.
few months.
Yeah. I heard this acronym once that fear is just false evidence appearing real.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's true, you know. I mean, I had those same fears and anxieties when I got started, right? Especially I wasn't flipping at the time. I just got started wholesaling, but I had the same things. You know, there's no deals out there, or it's hard to find deals out there. Or what if what I'm doing, you know, at the time I was cold calling and I was door knocking. It sounds like we were doing the exact same things. What if what I'm
right,
doing isn't really working? What if they don't like my approach? What if they, and I was thinking of all of these negative things I was stacking on one on top of another. And at the end of the day, the work still has to get done. So, you know, you can have all of these fears, all of these doubts, but at the end of the day, if that's what's stopping you from taking action, then what you have to change is not necessarily your actions. It's that fear and that doubt first, right?
right,
Because if you stop taking action, you're done. Especially if you're a solopreneur, right? Because it's just you.
right,
And so just getting those, getting an outs, it can be either an outside source or an a personal source of just positive reinforcement, whether it's podcasts or just motivational speeches or meditation or yoga, whatever it is that jives with you and that, you know, fits you, to have that in your life and make that a daily practice of just getting that stuff in your head. Some days you feel like you won't need it, but trust me, when you have those days where, you know, there's, you know, turns out your house is going to need foundation work that you weren't expecting when you first bought the house, or that deal that you had that you were real excited to close on falls through, you know, all
right,
these things happen, right? It's just business, right? These things just happen, right? And you're going to have these things that happen in your business if you do it for long enough. And I'm telling you, you're gonna want to have that positive reinforcement in you, because that's what's going to help you keep a level-minded head and just continue business as usual. Okay, this bad thing happened. Okay, cool. Guess what? You know, tomorrow's a new day, right? I'm going to take action tomorrow, and I'm going to create more opportunity, right? So I love that you're saying that, and I wanna move into something that I see you do a lot, which is pre foreclosures and foreclosures. Can you talk about how you're doing these deals? Like, can you explain like your how you find these, where you're finding the data for pre foreclosures and foreclosures, and explain how are you solving these problems for these homeowners?
yeah. So like a few years ago, right, when I decided to like do direct to seller, right, that's when I heard someone, right, at a meetup talk about like properties that are about to go to auction, right, like pre foreclosures. Like they didn't go in detail about it, but I was so interested in it. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Like these people can be like highly motivated, right? So then I just started doing research on my own, and there's a software here in Chicago. It's called Chicago Deal Vault. Like it has all the leads, right? So I bought that. It's like 100 or $120, like a month. And I started just going through all the leads, right? And I started just looking for the ones, with high equity, right? Because I probably heard it, I don't know where, maybe one of Brand Daniel's videos, right? To look for the ones with high equity, right? I learned a lot from him, right? So I probably heard it from one of his videos, and I found one, here in a city called Streamwood, Illinois, right? And I tried, like finding, the homeowners, the contact, their phone number, but I couldn't find it, and I'm like, why don't I just drive up there, which was like 30 minutes at that time from where I lived. And I drove up there, and like I couldn't find it because the house was in a corner, and it took me like I think 45 minutes to find it, right? And I finally found it. I was about to like just give up and be like, hey, I'm done. Like, but I didn't. I went and like I talked to the homeowner, and he said no one has reached out to him about this. No one has even talked to him about it. He doesn't know what to do with it, right? So like I kind of guided him through it. At that point, I didn't know everything about pre-foreclosures, like I just jumped in and started, like taking action. And we got it under contract, and we bought it for 60. We put in about like $30,000, right? And the value at that time was 200. We didn't sell it. We still have that. I was like, wow, like this is what I want to do. Like I want to do pre-foreclosures. I want to stick to the same type of leads, right? And that's what I did, since the last 6 years. I just have been doing the same kind of deals, pre-foreclosures with high equity, right? So what I do is like I get my leads from the county websites, directly from the county websites, right? Um, Sometimes, if I don't have time, I'll just go after the ones that are, about a month away from auction. If I have the time, which most of the times I'll build a list, right, myself. I'll have my VA do it. I go after the ones that are like 4 months out, right? So I build my list, from the county websites, right? And then we stack the leads. I don't know if you stack the leads, right? But even this, I heard it from somewhere. Where I think it was from like a training that I did, closers only training, where they talked about stacking the leads, right? And I've been going after the same kind of deals, like the ones that have multiple pain points, the ones that are like pre-foreclosures, vacant, probate, right? Or sometimes they're just pre-foreclosures and vacant, or sometimes just pre-foreclosures with high equity, right? But yeah, I've been doing the same kind of deals. I just stuck to the same thing. When I did try doing something different in the middle, it didn't work. I wasted like 6 months, and I told myself like I need to go back to what worked, right? So I went back to what worked, and I've just been doing the same kind of deal. So I get my data from the county website.
And so then when you have a hot lead, right, and you contract the lead, is your exit strategy mostly fix and flipping, or are you said you hold some properties, you do that as well, or a combination of that with wholesale? Can you talk about like what your exit strategies are?
It's a combination of everything, like most of them we will flip or buy and hold, right? If we don't like the location of the property, then we'll flip it, we'll sell it, fix it up and sell it. Or sometimes we'll just uh, subtail it, take it over subject to, right, and list it, or wholetail it, right? And then if we have a lot going on, or if the renovations are major, like really big, then we wholesale it, because we don't want to. It's me and my husband that do this, right? It's not just me. And I find the deals and he renovates the homes, right? And if it's a lot of work, then we wholesale them. It's better just to wholesale the ones that need a lot of work and move on to other ones, because they
Yeah,
can take longer.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And so, what is for somebody that's watching, that's just maybe they want to start doing pre-foreclosure, working with pre-foreclosures or foreclosures, but they want to understand the difference between the two. Like, what's the difference between a pre-foreclosure and a foreclosure, and how do you handle a seller that's in both of those categories and solve their issue?
Yeah, so pre-foreclosure is the process before, like it becomes a foreclosure, right? I don't think people understand the difference, right? Like once, like let's say like if it sells at the auction and no one buys it, right? Like then it becomes a foreclosure. Well, it becomes an REO, right? Real estate owned, but it's also a foreclosure, right? So the pre-foreclosure process, it varies from state to state, right? It depends on your state, like it can be judicial or non-judicial, right? Like non-judicial, it takes a lot longer. The process takes a lot longer than the judicial states, right? But yeah, I mean, it just depends on what state you're in. And like, even like with the probates, it depends on, like what the laws are, right? Like in your state, like here in Illinois, like we don't have to do a full probate depending on when the homeowner passed away. We can just do like an affidavit of heirship. Like I know you're in Ohio. I'm not sure, how it is there, but yeah, I mean, it's a great, like lead source, pre-foreclosures. Anyone will tell you like who's, successful, like in the direct to seller niche, right? They'll tell you like go after the pre-foreclosures.
And so then let's just say once a property is out of pre-foreclosure, right, and it's now in foreclosure, and it's about to be auctioned off. Is the only way to purchase that property is through the auctions now, or how are can you talk about that?
I mean, the best way is obviously to go directly, to the homeowners, right?
Okay.
And buy it from them because you're not competing against other investors, right? And you're also helping the homeowners, right? Like a lot of them don't even know what their options are, right? They don't even know that they can sell their home, right? But like,
Hmm.
let's just say there's not enough equity and no investors buy it, from the auction, right? Then it becomes a foreclosure, right? I mean, I've heard some people say that they've, contacted, banks to buy it, from the bank after it's become, like a REO, but I don't do it. I don't know if you do or if you know anyone, but I don't do it. Like, I don't think there's that many people do that because it's not an easy process.
Yeah, yeah. I personally don't work with any REO properties. I have a mainly wholesale business, so when it comes to REOs, that's kind of like a no touch zone.
Right.
But I've come across a lot of them. But I hear a lot of people, they talk about being able to stop a foreclosure or for stop the au- or so I should say stop the auction from happening once it's in foreclosure. Have you been in a situation like that, or can you talk about that? Because I know you mentioned that the best way is to go directly to the homeowner, but if it's in foreclosure, I'm assuming, right? And I'm just I'm pretending to be just a guy that doesn't know, just learning about whole foreclosures. That once it's in foreclosure, it's just going to go to auction, and you can't touch it from then on. You can only buy it from the auctions. You're saying that you can buy it also directly to the homeowner. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, most of the properties that we do, they're scheduled to go to auction, right? And like, sometimes, like I'll have homeowners call me a day before, or like even the morning of, and yeah, we have stopped a lot of auctions. So you can, like, let's say if someone reaches out to you and their property is scheduled to go to auction, like let's just say in 5 days, right? There are different ways that you can get that sale postponed. They're not completely going to stop it, unless if they file for a bankruptcy, but you can get it postponed and that will give you enough time, to like order title and close on the property. So yeah, there's many different ways you can do it. You can call, the lender directly and get it postponed through them. You can file a motion, with an attorney. And if they, want to do a bankruptcy, you can hire a bankruptcy attorney, to, file for the bankruptcy, right? But that you obviously don't want to guide them yourself, right? For the bankruptcies, you want a bankruptcy attorney to talk to,
Right.
the homeowners that are interested, right? Because you can get yourself in trouble if you go too much in detail about the bankruptcies. Or you can, contact the foreclosure attorney's office, right? The trustee, and send them your contract, proof of funds, right? That's another way of not stopping, postponing the sale because they have to reach out to their client who's the lender,
Hmm.
right? So that's another way. So there's many different ways that you can get the sale postponed.
And like, so if you were dealing with, say, the trustee or the foreclosure attorney or the lender directly, would you just reach out to them, get their contact and just say, hey, we're interested in purchasing the property. We have a contract. Here's a contract with the seller, proof of funds, and all these things, and then you use that to leverage to be able to postpone the auction date.
Yeah. So you can get the name of the foreclosure attorney. It's listed on the county websites most of the times, right? Or it can even be in the software that you use, right? It depends. I know every county, is different, right? If it's not on your county website, you can maybe go down to the, court, right, to the county and get that information. You just have to dig a lot in the beginning to figure things out because it's different in every county,
Yeah,
right? You know that.
yeah, yeah. And so let's just say if somebody wanted to do what you want, which what you're doing, right, in your business currently, what would you recommend them? How would you recommend them to get started?
I would recommend them to, like if they're starting out, I would recommend them to, like get the list, build a list from the county websites, right? And get a skip tracing software, right? The skip tracing software that I use is People Looker, but there's so many different ones, right? There's True People Search. And then if you don't have money, there's also free ones, right? Because sometimes when people start, they may not have any money, right? To
Hmm.
even get a a software, skip tracing software, right? If you don't have the money, find, a free skip tracing software. Or sometimes even if you Google the name, right, like their contact will come up, right? And start calling, start cold calling. Or you can just go directly, to door knocking if you don't feel comfortable, cold calling, which I didn't feel, comfortable cold calling. I felt more comfortable door knocking, being in front of them, probably because of the sales jobs that I had, I felt more comfortable doing that. And then like after, like a few months, I got comfortable, on the phone as well. Yeah. So I would say build a list from the county websites, right? Go through them. If you're just starting out, I would go through them one by one, right? And don't hire a VA in the beginning, right? Because if you hire a VA and you yourself don't know what you're doing, right? How are you going to train the VA? Like a lot of people make, the mistake of hiring a VA, right? And it doesn't go nowhere. I didn't hire a VA for a long time, just last year I hired a VA. I had a VA before, but he wasn't consistent. But yeah, so like, just do as much as you can, yourself, I would say in the beginning, so you learn, right? And then slowly you can start hiring people and adding people in your team.
Awesome. 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 And so you've talked about you and your husband and your separate roles and some VAs. I just want to ask like what like a general outlook on what your team and what your business looks like today, like the people involved, like your role, other people in your team's roles. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so right now I have three VAs, right? They all work on, building the list, right? And they have started texting and cold calling as well. I just started this a few months ago. And then my husband, he after I acquire the property, he, gets them cleaned out and he renovates them, and he gets them rented out or, like sold. If we're wholesaling them, he'll find buyers, or sometimes I find buyers as well. And then I also have, like two attorneys that I work with. So one of them is my closing attorney, and then the other one, he helps me postpone auctions and helps me, file for bankruptcies for the homeowners. And then I have two TCs that I use, transaction coordinators. And what else do I have? Yeah, that's pretty. Oh, and I have a short sale negotiator on my team as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And the TCs, where did you hire them from?
They're all from Pace Morby's
Oh, okay.
group. Yeah. Are you in his community?
I'm not, but I saw that he has like a TC program, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
he does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got like great, TCs in the
Okay.
community. But even
Okay.
if you're not in the community, you can use them.
I
You
believe
can
I've
go.
used one for like a really like tough creative deal.
Mhm.
I used one before. And can I ask what's the use for two TCs as opposed to just one?
I just don't like to give all my work to one person,
Mm,
to one TC. So that's why I have another one.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I just hired another one like a few months ago.
Okay.
And I
Eh,
also wanted to see how, another one does, with my files. Like, honestly, like, you have to be on top of these files, like when I'm not, when I was in India, like so many like things started falling apart, because I wasn't overlooking everything. So even with all these people on your team, you still need to overlook things, right? Because we are the ones making more money than them, right? Like even the
mm,
attorneys, like my attorney tells me too, my closing attorney, like Nita, you're the one who's making more money, on these like, like they're supposed to order the payoffs, but sometimes I'll do it, or sometimes I'll have, the attorney that files the motions for me do it. But but yeah, I noticed, like when I'm not, like overseeing everything, like it takes a lot longer for files to close, and sometimes, like files just start falling apart.
yeah, yeah. I've seen that happen a lot too. Just having, I think it's a lot of people's goals in real estate, or just I take us past real estate in business in general, to be able to build something that no longer requires them. Right. And that could definitely happen, right? If you set up the right processes and systems and get the right people in place, it can definitely happen. But definitely I would say in the building phase, you definitely want to have your presence still in the business, even if you have all the roles hired out. right? Because your leadership, your what you bring to the team culture, right, and that accountability you bring is still important. It's still like the glue that connects all of the separate roles and systems together. So I
Right.
100% agree with you there, 100%.
Right.
And
And I think it also depends on the kind of deals that you're doing, right? Like especially
oh,
the
for
ones that
sure.
are like scheduled to go to auction, like you have
Yeah.
to be on top of those files because you're gonna run out of time,
Hmm.
you know? Like you keep thinking that, hey, yeah, I can get it postponed, like we can buy more time. But isn't it better just to like be active on these files and close on them as soon as possible so you can move on to other ones, right? That's what I've been telling one of my attorneys. Like, we've been, getting some of these like postponed 2, 3 times. Like, what's happening?
Hmm.
Just because we know we can get them postponed, why are we getting them postponed? Like we just had one this morning. I called the attorney before, we got on. Like, this was, I think, the third or the fourth time we got it postponed.
Wow.
What we're dealing with the guardianship as well with that one, but still I feel like we just haven't been proactive on that file.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so with you being in Chicago, right? I know like a couple of years ago they passed the law that you are no longer allowed to wholesale or do any sort of assignments if you're not a licensed agent, if you're not a licensed agent. Now I know you do more so flipping and buying and holding and some wholesale, but I just want to get your outlook, I guess, on the market since you're on the ground there. How has the people in the market changed from before where there was no regulation to now?
I think it's so like with us, my husband is a licensed agent, right? Just for our own properties, right? So that's how we're able to do more than one. You can do one a year, right? But I think it wiped out, like the ones that were not serious. They call themselves, wholesalers, right? When they haven't even done any deals, right? Or they call themselves investors, right? So I think it wiped out, a lot that were not, active in the industry. So I
And,
think in a way it was a good decision that they made.
and have you seen that that has opened up like a bigger ocean for more deals to come to people that are licensed or are like serious in the business?
No, I don't think so. There's so many people that want to, like wholesale and, be investors. So there is competition out there, right?
Hmm.
But not everyone is able to, like be consistent and persistent, right? So like if you're able to, right, you're going to win, right? A lot of people like they'll, call or go door knock, right, on properties maybe 1, 2, or 3 times and then they give up, right? But we know, right, the money is in the follow up, right? So like I don't believe there's any competition, to be honest with you, because most of the people they start and they give up anyways, right? Like that's why like I always say like the personal development and the internal healing, it's so important. It's so crucial, like not just for this business, but any business. Which a lot of people don't understand, nor do they want to do it, right? Because becoming a different person is painful. Letting go of your old self is painful. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
Yeah, well, you spend all this time in your life building these patterns in your head and in your brain of how you should behave or how you should react when something happens, and now you're trying to tell yourself to reverse all of that. It's tough.
It's really tough. You lose people, around you. You lose your old self, right? You're like fighting yourself, like with your old patterns, right? And then there's, like just a lot of people around you that don't like the new you, because like they take it personally, like they
Yeah.
feel threatened, like you probably gone through it. I think a lot of people, that are working on themselves, they go through it, right? But you have to go on this journey. You have to. And if you don't, like let's say you do become successful, like sooner or later you're going to crash. You're not going to be happy. You're going to have all this money, right? Like the people that win the lottery, right? Like what happens after some time, after a year?
Yeah.
Like
A lot of
they
them
were
go
never
bankrupt,
ready. They were
go
never
broke.
ready for
Yeah.
it, right? So why not become the person, like who deserves this, right?
Yeah.
Like
I've
I love the journey.
I've been listening to this tape by Earl Nightingale called "The Strangest Secret." I'm sure you've probably listened to it,
Yeah.
heard of it. And he says that you first have to become successful before you get the money, right? And he talks about it a lot. I mean, the whole premise of that tape was just to understand that we are what we think about, right? We are the sum total of our thoughts, right? So I always thought that it was just a huge shortcut in life to just get the vision of who you want to be, and then just start thinking that you already are that person, right? So if you want to be rich, if you want to be a good husband, a good wife, if you want to be whatever it is that you're striving to be, right? Get really clear on it, and then just move as if you are already that person. Like, I am the millionaire. I am that dutiful father, that dutiful mother, right? That you wanted to be. And that's the shortcut to getting to where you want to be. And it always just made so much sense to me. And I love that you said that, because you got to get that mental framework already in place, right? That foundation before you can start laying any bricks on it, any dollars on top of it, because that's just going to reveal more of who you already are, right?
Right.
And if you already have that positive and that strong mental fortitude, right, or that mental attitude, and you've been through the process of shedding that past negativity, whether it be through people or whether it be through ideas, mindsets, right? That's what's really going to have you be in the long game and give you that longevity, which is really what you're working for, right? You don't want to be rich for a year and then crash, right? You want to
Right.
be rich for life.
Right. Yeah, I absolutely, and like when I met you, last year, I was just so inspired by you, like we didn't talk that much. But I was like, man, he's young, and like he's doing awesome. And I kind of just figured, like you're probably like also, like doing personal development at the same time, and then I saw like you had started the podcast, right? And I was like, and you've been consistent, with your podcast, right? And a lot of people are not, consistent. I myself started one like few months ago, right? And then I got busy with, creating content and all that, but I'll be consistent from now on. But yeah, I was just so inspired by you that like you at a young age, doing so well and being this confident, like it's amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And truthfully, it's just because I'm surrounded by people like you. I mean, that's the whole reason why I started this podcast, right? Is to be around people that are like you, that are on the same journey as me, or maybe a couple of steps ahead of me, right? That are doing the daily things every day. That it's a true I'm something I'm truly grateful for, to have a platform like this where I get to share with people like you. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. And I think it's a lot, like we have to be grateful and thankful to Brand Daniels, right? Like that's why we're
Oh
both
yeah.
here, right? That's how
Shout
we
out to
know
Brandon
each other,
if you
right?
listen to
Like
this.
that's why I was like, you know what, I have to wear this. Like I learned so much from him. And when I didn't have any money, like his videos helped me, you know? Like I just joined his mentorship last year, right?
Hmm.
I joined the TTP, the roundtable and the Rhino tribe at the same time just last year. But before that, I did a lot of deals just from watching his videos. I mean, I did other trainings as well, like closers only and other stuff like a lot of mindset work and stuff like that, right? But his videos like helped me tremendously.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Brent Daniels. Shout out to him.
Yeah,
He's
for
helped
real.
all of us out a lot. And just shout out to all the good mentors out there in general. I mean, they really did pave the way for us to be able to do what we do. I was gonna ask you this question towards the end, but you hinted in the beginning that you are probably not gonna like this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Okay. Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Yourself and your business.
In 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know because I'm a visionary and I come up with all these new ideas all the time, right? So honestly, I don't know. I may not even be, in the real estate industry after 3 years. Maybe buying businesses and stuff, like off market. That's another thing that I want to do. So will it be, something in real estate? I don't know. But I do know that, I want to grow a lot, in the real estate industry for now,
Mhm.
especially like, like the next 1 year, like the 6 months this year and then, like next year.
Awesome. Is there like a goal to like where you want to grow to, as far as that be like number of houses you do or deals you do, anything like that?
So in 1 year, I want to get to like 50 rentals. Like right now we have 25, but I want to get to 50, right? So and
Hmm.
that's doable, you
Hmm.
know. And now that I'm on social media, like a lot of people, they reach out to me, So I think that's what my goal is, like in the next year, to have, the 50 rentals and help out a lot of people, and bring the awareness, not, just like the pre-foreclosures, like buying them, off market directly from the sellers, but also like the yoga and meditation, that really helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great goal. That's a great goal to have 50 rentals by end of next year. I mean, you've already have 25, so I think with what you're doing, you can definitely hit that. Um, I have one. This is my last question. If you can go back in time and talk with Nita when she first got started in real estate, right back 6 years ago, what would you say to her?
If I can go back 6 years, honestly, nothing. Like it was challenging, and we faced a lot of struggles, and it was a lot of things that we had to compromise. My husband and I, we didn't even go on our first vacation until, like, I think 2 years ago, right? Like, we've been married for 7.5 years. So it was a lot of sacrifice. It was all about, building the business, honestly, right? And I enjoyed this journey, right? So I don't think there's anything that I would want to change, because I wouldn't be strong and I wouldn't be whatever I am today without having gone through all of those struggles, in the beginning. Like everything. I just
Yeah,
enjoyed everything. All the mindset struggles, the financial struggles. Like, just enjoy it all, the good and the bad. Just know that it's all a journey. Not everything is gonna be perfect, You're not gonna be on the high all the time, right? There's actually more lows in life than highs. But enjoy the journey.
I love that. I love that. Nita, it was absolutely amazing having you on the podcast. I really did enjoy this very holistic conversation, and I can't wait to share this with everybody. Any last words that you have?
I also enjoyed, the podcast, and it's great, having a conversation with you after, the event last year, right? I also wanted to, like just know, what you've been up to and stuff like that. So it was a great opportunity, right? But for the viewers, I would say, like, get out of your head, stop overthinking, and like, take the action. Like, I know, like, us just saying, hey, take the action, sometimes it may not be easy for some people, right? Because some people may have a lot of traumas, they may not have the confidence, right, or the courage to do it. But find someone, in your market who's already doing it, right? And shadow them, right? Either that, or like, watch videos, right? The videos help me, Brand Daniels. Like, just hearing other people's success stories, like, gives you the faith and the belief that, hey, they did it. They came from nowhere. I can do it as well. You know? So, like, if you
Yeah,
don't have the confidence or the courage, to take the action, then find someone in your market, that you can shadow, or start watching videos, or, like, I would say, start the mindset work. If you absolutely, are struggling with the mindset, which I did, right? I would say, do some mindset work. Find a good mentor if you have the money. If not, find some videos, right, online. There's so many people that talk about mindset, right, which will definitely help you, and have some sort of practice in your daily, schedule, right? Whether it's meditation, working out, whatever it is, whatever helps. Like, it's different for everyone, right? Like, what helps me, or what I enjoy may be different for you. Like, someone may, like, love music, right? So I would say, get out of your head, stop overthinking it, and take the small steps and do something about it.
I love that. I love that. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook, right? Nita Patel, and then my Instagram, which I just started a few months ago. Like, are my friends, like, have been, like, on me on, like, with that, like, you gotta get on it, like, you have to be active on it. I'm like, one thing at a time. So it's at Sharma underscore Nita Patel.
Okay, awesome. And I'll have that all in the bio. That way they can find you easily. Nita, again, it was fantastic having you guys. This was Real Tales Podcast. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.